Future Commerce is brought to you by Gladly. What if customer service could feel like a conversation between friends? Well, Gladly is a radically personal customer service platform that puts people, yes, people, at the center of a single lifelong conversation. By enabling B2C companies to focus on people talking to people, Gladly powers a lifetime of conversations across every channel, from phone, email, text, chat, and social media. See what a truly customer-centered platform looks like today at gladly.com/futurecommerce. Welcome to Step by Step, a podcast by Future Commerce, presented by Gladly. This is season 3 of Step by Step, and we are talking about CX. Yes, customer experience. We're going to follow the journey of 4 incredible brand operators, just like yourself, who are expanding their world of customer support into customer experience. This is the 4th episode of Step by Step, and if you're just jumping into the series midway through, why don't you go back and listen from the very beginning? If you're in leadership at a brand and you find yourself dealing with OKRs and you'd rather be dealing with OMGs, this series is for you. Today, we are sitting down with Rebecca Boxall, the VP of Marketing, Channels, and Customer Experience at Native Shoes. Well, she is no stranger to delivering exceptional customer experience. We ask Rebecca the hardest question of all, which is how do you address modern customer expectations, and how do you do that in a world that's more digital than ever? She has some amazing answers for us. She talks about how their mission-driven approach allows them to connect their mission to their customers, and that drives lifetime value. I know you're going to love it. So let's sit back. Let's listen to Rebecca Boxall of Native Shoes as she teaches us how to evolve from support to experience step by step. We have a special guest with us today, the VP of Marketing, Channels, and Customer Experience at Native Shoes, Rebecca Boxall. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. I feel like we're fast friends, even though we've never truly met.
I do. I feel like we're besties that go way back.
It's kind of true. And this is our second or third attempt at telling a really complete story in a very tumultuous year, but we'll get to some of that. We're talking in this series, this step-by-step 5-part series about, what it really means to have a true, differentiated customer experience. Like, how do you take customer experience to the next level? I'm sure we'll dive into some of that today, but not to take anything for granted. Let's start with what is Native and what is your role at Native?
Yeah, so Native Shoes, we are a kids and adults footwear brand. We lead with our purpose to make it easy for all to live lightly. We've got a big sustainable focus in terms of our production and our materials, and we are sold around the world. I am the VP of Marketing, Channels, and Customer Experience. So I oversee all of our sales channels, e-commerce, retail, and wholesale, our brand and digital marketing, and our customer experience, including our customer service team.
That's so cool. I love the brand. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, uplifting brand. Tell us a little bit about your ethos at Native.
So we're very much purpose-led, and being purpose-led means that it's a function of your culture and your guiding light, really, in terms of whatever you're doing. It's not just something that shows up in your marketing department. Our purpose is to make it easy for all to live lightly. It's underpinned by a few pillars, one being ask more what ifs. So we're big about asking, what if we did things this way? Or what if the world looked like this? Or what if we could ask people this question? And so that takes us into sort of big ideas and small unlocks in the day-to-day business. Tiny activism is another one of our pillars. This is one of my favorites. It's really based around the idea that small acts add up to big change. And we can all be tiny activists in our day-to-day for the planet and for our life. And for some people, their activism is, fighting for policies and being at the forefront of conversations. And other people's activism is being a great recycler at home, or buying a pair of native shoes, which has a light footprint on the planet and is made thoughtfully and consciously for the world. So that's one of my favorites. Do the kind thing is another one that I love, and gosh, couldn't be more important in a year like this. Kindness is about being kind to all kinds. So being kind to your neighbor and kind to nature and kind to the world, and how that also translates internally with our culture is, when you're trying to solve a problem within the organization and with a peer, what would be the kind thing in terms of how to interpret the interactions you're having that day? If that person's rubbed you the wrong way or is seemingly not cooperating for some reason. So do the kind thing has lots of applications and is an important pillar. And so we are purpose-led, and it's been a developing, and I don't think evolving and embedding your purpose in your organization is really ever done. And whilst it has always been in the fabric of our company, it's definitely come to the forefront particularly in the last 3 years.
There was something you said there about, well, you said two things. One was, treating each other kindly. And then the other was, it's been a bit of a year,
a little bit.
If there's ever a year we need a little bit more kindness, it's this year for sure. In your customer support role, are you finding that it's more challenging right now to live that out, or are people a little more understanding? I tend to hear from certain folks that, depending on the brand and depending on where you sit in the organization, especially in a support role, customers are being a little more flexible than they used to be. What is it like at Native is the first question. And the other part of that is like, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is, how does that come to being, or how are you seeing that play out?
We have lovely customers at Native Shoes, and I am always grateful and always always humbled by the goodwill that we have out in the world. Look, I think the pandemic has brought out in all of us good and bad, and there's certainly been some to both ends of the scale. I think we are aware that people have been stressed and coming up against a lot of things that have nothing to do with their shoe purchase that that can come out, and the other side of things is that people are always also really banding together and have a sense of community, and we're in it together. And I think. I think we've just come out of our busy season, which coincided with the pandemic. So we also had high volumes and a pandemic culture to lead through. And even through a busy season, there is also always the constant conversation and reminder about what it feels like to be at the coalface in customer experience, and what it means to show up kindly and with great generosity to people that might not be having their best day on the other end of the phone.
It's so refreshing to see a brand's lead with kindness. I think it's really, really powerful, as we've kind of all said. Obviously, we've seen a lot of evolving this past year. I love that you sort of said that you've embedded, sort of evolving and your identity into sort of the core of the brand. I feel like customers have evolved more quickly in the past year than perhaps we've seen in a long, long time.
That's true.
Very, very impressed. So talk to me a little bit about your customer and ways that you're seeing them change, their identity evolving as well.
I think our customer is evolving in terms of where they shop. We've certainly seen our customers migrate to online channels. I have that we talk a lot about the shift to digital and e-commerce out in the retail world right now. I have also seen a desire to shop in an in-store experience if it's safe and if it's not too far from home. So we have also been very thoughtful about how we've evolved our in-store experience. And I mean, going back to your question in terms of the customer goodwill earlier, Brian, like having seen customers line up outside of a store to go in to try on some pair of shoes is it's pretty amazing and pretty exciting to see. And I've been pleasantly surprised at the sales we've been able to achieve through a store where we've had, reduced hours and reduced team members and by nature, reduced service. I think overall, customers are being increasingly discerning in terms of where they spend their dollars right now, because times are a bit uncertain. And so really, leading with the value and the function. And if a customer could, if you're able to get away with buying one item that fulfills multiple purposes, now is the year that's going to happen. And so, I think we're seeing that in terms of some category shifts between our sort of EVA styles, shoes and boots. But in a lot of ways, we're very fortunate because kids' feet keep growing, whether there's a recession and a pandemic happening or not, which...
It's an interesting category to be in. I would not have thought, I look at, this always gets me in trouble, Brian, when I start mentioning peer categories. This is where PR starts to have a heart attack. VF Corp just put up massive numbers for their Q2. And as did many others, Adidas, Nike. You look at it across the board, folks are still wearing shoes. Mm-hmm. Even though the the thought leaders on Twitter would have you know that they're only wearing sweatpants and they haven't seen a shoe in 7 months. It doesn't seem to actually be the case. And I think this speaks, if I may be so bold, I think this speaks to the fact that, hey, maybe not everybody's alike, but also there's, we're craving some sense of normalcy, and folks, are looking for this multifunction, multi-purpose, piece that I think is it. They'll find it. They're going to find it. And you touched on that. That was, I think, such a brilliant piece of insight there, is that you have a product that is good for many members of the family, and fulfills many needs.
And it will last too. I think with that discerning purchase, people are looking for value and confidence in the brand and the quality that they're buying now as well, which is not a new thing at all. I think it's amplified during these times.
Yeah, there's this idea of multi-purpose, and let's bring it back to CX. I'm sure Gladly would appreciate that. But this idea too that every channel is where all customers live now. It used to be that you might have a certain kind of customer that frequents one channel. That's not really the case much anymore, is it? Is that how it works for Native? Are you striving to bring them closer together? What's the omni-channel strategy there?
I think customer experience transcends channel. The vision and the ideal is that whether you're purchasing and interacting with our brand and our shoes in one of our wholesale partners, or through our e-commerce business, or in our stores, or in our past and future when we opened pop-up stores, it should feel the same. It should feel the same if you're looking at our Instagram content to talking to someone on the phone. It should feel consistent. And I think customers now expect you to meet them wherever they're at. service their needs wherever they want to interact with you, which I think is great. It poses, particularly being able to scale up, and when you're on a growth path, it's a unique and exciting challenge to build an org and a philosophy in that way.
Yeah, and I would imagine that we're talking about connecting product and how to customers in different ways, different places, in every place, in every way. I would imagine that your mission, the message of your mission, you've got to have that right there along with that, sort of wherever you are. How does that sort of play out?
Yeah, I think I was reminded actually, because we've talked about this before. It's been a tough year to be a retailer. There's been a lot of things. If you're leading a retail organization, there's a lot of things that have been thrown at you that in most cases, many of us have not had to lead through before, and certainly lead teams that haven't experienced something before. And so I was reminded at points throughout the year about how important it is to always come back to purpose and always lift up to work from there, lead from there, and solve from there. It's very easy and understandable to get sucked into like the very practicalities and the operations of the day, but it's an easier place to lead from, and an easier place to create vision, and even in a conversation about, hey, things are a little challenging right now, but here's where we're working. Here's what we're working towards. Remember what we're working towards. And yeah, it's been a constant for me throughout this year, as well as other years, but definitely viewed it in a different way this year. We sat down, and we've been evolving. Our e-commerce business has been growing quite a bit, and our retail business has been evolving as well. And so we sat down not long ago to revisit our customer experience philosophy relative to the customer-facing channels to start with, and then I want to continue to branch that out across the other departments in the business. And we created a little one-page. I'm a big fan of the one-pager visual to explain a philosophy or a strategy or something. And so we created our little one-pager that was going to be our blueprint for creating the next phase of customer experience. And at the top sat our purpose to make it easy for all to live lightly. And the pillars of our experience that sat underneath that were storytelling, selling, service, and insights. And underpinning all of that is quality. And that could be quality of the product or quality of the content, quality of the experience, whatever it is. It should be a quality thing that we're putting out in the world. And I think without the purpose pulling that up, to me it feels less inspirational and a lot more broad for the teams to then go and bring their subject matter expertise to.
Gladly is a radically personal customer service platform. Gladly gives customer service teams the ability to treat their customers like people, from knowing their last purchase, their dress size, or even their child's upcoming birthday, all before ever saying hello. Built for the way that people communicate today, a customer and their history are never parted within Gladly. And all conversations across all channels are all contained under a single conversation thread to give agents, the real heroes here, the tools that they need to deliver exceptional customer service experiences. Gladly works with some of the most innovative brands in the world, helping them to deliver a more powerful and more personal experience for their customers. Some of those customers are JetBlue, Tumi, Joanne, Godiva, and Native Shoes, and maybe even you. Don't wait. Find out today what a radically personal customer service platform is all about. Visit gladly.com/futurecommerce to learn more. There's a recurrent theme in this series that seems to, it comes up over and over again. It's this idea that there's a shift happening. And if more customers are looking to digital first, that some of the pre-purchase questions are things that might shift to online, where a traditional customer support mechanism might be better suited or trained to handle post-purchase support. Is that something that you have dealt with at Native? And my follow-up to that, in a la Brian Lang's multi-part question, would be, what is your sense of your omni-channel mix, and how do you sort of train and hire against that?
Yes. So I'm going to answer the last part of your question first, because I like to live on the edge that way. This year I appointed the same individual to the customer experience, which is our online customer service team, customer experience team lead, and the store manager of our flagship store here in Vancouver. And it really came about because we had some people movements, and we had some great talent in the business. And I was like, you know what, I'm excited to see how this could evolve our customer experience and run a blended roster. So we have people that are on the phones also showing up in store, and for those that are in store can also pick up shifts and hours in the customer service team and experience both sides. And I think there's value and insights to be gained from both experiences. And as we scale and as we grow, my goal is to try and keep this as integrated as possible for that reason. And there's a lot of efficiencies also around language and training, and as you scale up and scale back down around peak season, the onboarding and offboarding associated with that, and strengths in building that sort of voice of customer hub within the business. Yeah,
I love this. I love this so much. It's sort of the ultimate omnichannel. It's when you take your org and you recognize that they can actually be more than what you think they can. It's a blending of old world and new world in a way that reflects within the org, that reflects the way the market is acting. And I think back to our retail rebirth report, which we did a webinar with you on, and the fact is, our new flagship is our digital channel. And so when we think about who should be engaged in our flagship, of course it should be the people that are engaged in our flagship store experience.
Yeah.
It's super unique. I love what you've done.
Yeah. I think the challenge of the online customer service team is what you miss from the store experience is being tactile with the product, and having to pick up the product, pick up the shoe, and talk to a customer, and with the shoe in hand, and be pointing at things and explaining things, and that's just particularly being connected to the product was one of the bridges I was wanting to link up in this move. In terms of the pre-purchase and the consideration phase, shifting channels, yes, I think so. I have no data to support this, but I'm curious about how much it's actually changed versus how much, as an industry, we're paying more attention to it now. I mean, the internet's always been there. Social media's been pretty popular for a while now, and but
the intern runs that, Beck. We don't. That's not where real customers are being.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, our e-commerce conversion rates aren't 99%. So I'm curious as to whether we're just paying it more attention as a collective these days. having said all of that, yes, we're actively evolving our online customer experience team to feel empowered and equipped with the tools and the content and the training to support that. And it comes back to that storytelling pillar in our little one pager. Help them feel like they can storytell about the brand, storytell about products, storytell about the material innovations. The word selling jars with me a little bit. It's because I feel like selling and service are intrinsically linked. And to me, good sales and good selling is just about very good service and helping a customer get their needs met. It's included in our model right now because there is a bit of a distinction in terms of how we've approached service historically. But potentially at some stage I'll merge that back together so it just sits under the banner of service, which is just about being helpful and informative and wanting the customer to feel happy.
Okay, so let's flip the script a little bit because I think we could certainly dig down on that. But I would ask you the opposite question. If good selling and good service are hand in hand and they have a multiplying effect on the happiness of the customer, what are some multiply by zeros? Right. There's this concept of, it doesn't matter how complicated the equation is. If you introduce a zero to multiply by, it nullifies the whole thing. That's the, Brian and I use the analogy, you go to a 5-star restaurant. If the sewage is backing up in the restroom, you're never going back. Right. So it doesn't matter how great the food is.
Has that happened to one of you? Because it's very specific.
I'm so traumatized that I keep bringing it up. I can't stop bringing it up. Credit where credit's due. This is from Eric Jorgensen, and he has a great book about this idea of career amplification, wherein I've just stolen his exact metaphor.
Love it.
But what are some multiply by zeros that you're trying to avoid? I think that there certainly exist. I've had bad experiences, right? I'm more prone to evangelize bad experiences than good ones.
True, our human brains do that.
What's your take there, and sort of how do you avoid those in the organization?
Things that just undo all of your good work. It's funny the things you get caught up on being sort of right or wrong about. There's things in the warranty policy and giving out gifts or gift cards and promo codes for poor experiences, and those conversations you find yourself in about, people could really take advantage of that. I'm like, yeah, but that'll be a small number of people, but most people will use it well and have a positive experience. I think getting caught, that conversation's come up regularly across my career about, that people could really abuse that. It's almost never happened. It almost never happens. And it's not to say that people don't go out and abuse particular programs or things like that. That's always going to be there. But on the whole, most people don't set out to take advantage in that way. And so make it right for as many people as possible, and just let the cheeky monkeys be the cheeky monkeys.
Love that.
That's a tweet that's coming out of this. Or maybe that's the show title or something.
Some true wisdom I'm imparting there, isn't it? Cheeky monkeys. And the other thing I've been very conscious of in our readiness planning is around wait times. You're going to run into things where the product's not met expectations, or there's been a delivery mess up, or a delivery, and delivery delays has been a big one this year. Yourself, you don't want to wait very long to have this resolved, or at least be heard. I think once you felt heard, the resolution I think has a bit more grace time, but helping customers feel heard as quickly as possible. You could have had a great experience right up to the point that you might not even be that mad that you got the wrong color. It's just, I got the wrong color, I need to get this sorted out. But if it takes 4 or 5 days to hear back about your worry, I think you'd be questioning again whether you'd repeat purchase.
It's true. In that same vein, maybe what are some of the overlooked challenges that you're seeing with sort of the changes that are in the air right now? Is it, are people having trouble, with affordability of shoes? And you've got a fairly affordable shoe, I wouldn't imagine, but with the recovery still on the way. What are some of the things that you're struggling with right now that maybe would be a little bit sort of unexpected?
I'm trying to think of anything that's caught me truly, truly unawares, which is like a weird thing to say in a year that's been very unexpected. We talked before off the back of the report that you did. We have seen times like this before, and there is a element of formula to them. And I think recession or pre-recession and tough times, humans have similar responses to them. I think price, I think value, storytelling around value is really key. I mean, there's a lot of payment options out there as well. We just implemented Afterpay with that in mind, that not everyone will necessarily be in the position to buy everything they need for back to school all in the same go. And so what else could we have there as an option should you need it? Ultimately, I think people are just buying less and going to be more discerning. And so putting yourself out in front to make sure that you are the top choice for that discerning purchase, as people are buying shoes, but they're buying less shoes than they did in previous years as an industry.
That's it's because they've got all their liquidity wrapped up in sneakers that they're trying to resell at the moment, if they're anything like me.
Yeah. It's so interesting. That 6 weeks of the March, April, everyone was like, oh my gosh, I'm in my activewear taking a business meeting. And I think which was cool for a couple of weeks. But I think we've evolved now to wanting to feel, if you still are working from home, and many of us are, I think we've evolved to wanting our own like working from home style, and not it just be the same outfit that you're wearing from relaxing to working.
We still need that differentiation between our work time and our off work time.
Agreed.
I have one last observation, and it's just been such an amazing conversation. It always is with you. Thank you for joining us.
I feel like I could talk to you both for a whole day and not even notice. I feel like we could just chat about the world and shop and retail and have a great time.
We might have to take you up on that at some future state.
Challenge accepted.
There's a brilliant talk that the former SVP of General Merchandise over at eBay, a man named Michael Deering, gives. It's like a masterclass on the idea of pricing and like how to develop a pricing strategy. And the concept of price has nothing to do with value. They're two totally independent things, and that you can be sort of taught to value something out of any given price if you tell the story the right way. I tend to believe that is a multiplier, where we talked about, multiply by zeros that take, that nullify anything else you've done. I think that the idea of storytelling around value, and part of that value being exceptional support and service experiences, is the differentiator here. Yeah. And just kind of bringing that back home, what's your reaction to that? Do you believe that the price sensitivity, when you understand the value of engaging in the brand and the layers of story that are baked into it, and the support mechanism and the service that you deliver and how it's exceptional in its own right, do you feel like that's a multiplier in differentiating in your space?
Yeah. How could it not be? because the flip side of it is if we offered terrible service and no storytelling and it was very perfunctory, it would, it would go in the other direction. It's in me as a value. It's just also, it's the right thing to do if you're fortunate enough that a customer wants to interact with you and buy your product. That's a privilege, and it should be treated that way, and should be at the forefront of our service and philosophy and conversations. Yeah, it's certainly a multiplier of value.
Whew, okay. Wow, we covered a lot of ground. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It was amazing.
Thank you again for having me on. Always love chatting.
Yeah, thank you so much. And where can people go grab some native shoes for the whole family?
nativeshoes.com. We'd love to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Beck. Thanks for listening. And we'll continue this series, this step-by-step series, with our next episode coming up next. Well, thank you, Rebecca, for joining us here on the show today. And I want to hear from you. What are the multiply by zeros in your business? What are the things that are absolute deal breakers that cause the most friction and pain with your customer? Drop those to me in an email. I want to hear about them. Send it to me at hello@futurecommerce.fm. If you want to take experience to the next level, if you want truly differentiating customer experience and not just customer service, you can do that. You can make every conversation personal. You can have radically personal customer service with Gladly. That's right. Gladly is a radically personal customer service support platform that is the only people-centered platform with channels built in to everywhere that your customers want to speak with you. Find out why Crate and Barrel and Uggs and Chubbies and Godiva and Porsche and Rothy's and Ulta all trust Gladly with their customer experience. Gladly customers save 40% on average annually from consolidating their technology. Why won't you? Go get a demo. Do it right now. Go to gladly.com/futurecommerce and find out how you can drive 10% more revenue on average from your contact center. You can do that. You can do it right now from Gladly. Go to gladly.com/futurecommerce to start that lifelong conversation where your customer service heroes are going to be 20% more efficient on average. I don't think I can praise it enough. You need it today for your business. Go to gladly.com/futurecommerce and ask them for a demo and tell them that Philip sent you. But tomorrow we round out our series of this third season of Step by Step by sitting down with Jeff Newman, who heads up customer care at Porsche. It's a brand that we all know and love, and Jeff is someone that you're going to fall in love with when you hear how he thinks about delivering next level customer experience. Thanks for listening to Step by Step.